Welcome. Today we are talking about self-care and tips that you can use right now. I'm Rhian from Voice Copywriting.
And I'm Keri Denny with Keri Denny Massage and Wellness.
And I guess the first thing we need to talk about is what exactly is self-care? Because I think a lot of people think it's just taking a bubble bath and, putting a face mask on. But what does self-care mean to you, Keri?
Self-care to me means that you're taking time for yourself each day. And that sounds quite simple, but sometimes when we get wrapped up, like we were just talking about, it's been like a crazy day and you're running around and stuff pops up and then you're like, oh my gosh. So that you're stopping and taking time during your day to do some things that is giving back to yourself, that is filling yourself up and making sure that you have the energy you need to get through the day.
Yeah, for me, it could be something as simple as getting out and enjoying the sunshine. Last Wednesday, I had a full day of work. I had loads of work to do for my business, and I didn't technically have time to go for a walk on my lunch break. But the sun was so gorgeous, and I just knew I needed it for that self-care, to get out in the sun, to go for a really nice long walk. And like you say, today has been a crazy day. We've both had really busy schedules. But I made sure I took time to have something to eat before we got on the call, so that I knew I'd be fully concentrating on this, not on my growling stomach.
Yes.
You lot couldn't hear a growling stomach.
And how did you feel after you went for that walk, when you took that time out? How did you feel when you came back?
Oh, so much better, so much more productive. It's what I've been trying to tell some of my colleagues and my friends and my family, like just taking that 10 minutes outside in nature, you feel so much more productive when you come back, don't you?
Yeah. So that's want to take that time, especially when you're feeling like you can't take that time. That's when you need to take that time, which sounds, counterintuitive, but especially if you get up, if you start your morning, have a good routine. Every morning you do the same things. And so then you know that you have like stored yourself up. You know what you have to do today. You know what's going on. I've gotten up and done the things that make me feel awake and ready to go. So then you can be more productive. Because if we're just running around in all these different directions, it's hard to actually, then you look at your day, you're like, did I even get anything done? I answered this email and switched to this project and did this thing. It's like, slow down. You got to slow down to speed up. Slow down, take care of yourself, work through your list of things to do.
You're talking about self-care being counterintuitive sometimes, and talking about the daily routines. You've just reminded me of two things there. One of my good friends, she says, when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling stressed, you should do everything with two hands. You should two hands on everything. So you're unloading the dishwasher, use two hands. It brings you back to that moment, that mindfulness, and it just makes you slow down, and it soothes your parasympathetic nervous system. So anytime you're slowing down and really relaxing, you're activating that calming mechanism in your body. And talking about the routines that you just said there, you come across a really good point there about it being counterintuitive sometimes. Sometimes something like loading or unloading the dishwasher is actually self-care, because if you don't do that, you're going to be in a mess. The other night, I can't remember what, I think it was Friday night, I was absolutely exhausted. The dishwasher needed emptying, the washing up needed doing, it needed reloading, all those things, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to ignore it until Saturday morning. But I knew Saturday morning I'd have a 5-year-old asking me for breakfast, and then I'd be really feeling in chaos because I would be tired, I wouldn't have had enough sleep probably. Because I always need that extra hour or two to lie in, but I don't get it. And I'd be feeling frazzled and having to unload a dishwasher or load and reload a dishwasher while a 5-year-old's asking for their breakfast,
Yeah, or try to just wash the one thing that you need for this meal, two things that you need for this meal. And then it feels like it's a stopgap,
Yeah.
Same the other day, I was like, because I wait for my child to do it, but he's 13. And so you could be waiting a long time. So yeah, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wash everything else. And he has twice as much to put away. It's like, at least it's all clean now.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a couple of years ago, I can't remember if I saw it on Facebook or if somebody told me or if I read it in a book, but it was like a revelation. It said, just run the dishwasher twice. And I
Just
was
run it
like,
twice.
run it
Yeah.
twice. And I was like, oh my God. Because we had a barbecue on the weekend and the dishwasher was loaded and there was still a load more stuff. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, how am I going to get this done? And I was like, just run the dishwasher twice. And it pops into my head now and again. I'm like, just do it twice. It's no problem.
Yeah.
It's done. You know?
You can also run the dishwasher when it isn't perfectly loaded.
Yeah.
When it's not totally chock-a-block.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and run it. It's okay.
I do that every day. I know it's not good for I am quite a green freak. I like to save power, I like to save electricity, and I like to recycle. That is one of my interests. But my self-care comes first. And I feel guilty for the planet for running the dishwasher when it's not fully loaded, and the same for the washing machine. But if I don't get that load of whitewashing in, even though it's only half a load, it's going to pile up in the washing basket. So I've just got to get it done. You know, so like those little things that, like you say, the routine is key. The little things you can build into your routine to just make your life so much easier, you know, because I think a lot of us are pulled a lot of different directions. We've got all these spinning plates going on, which I know that you help a lot of ladies with, don't you? And sometimes we feel like we're going to drop all the plates, whereas if sometimes maybe we span a little plate and a little plate, it might like make life easier.
Yes, one of those revelations. I always think about those spinning plates, and it's like, how do you get everything going? I have, 10 things that I want to do and keep going. It's like, get one plate spinning really well.
Yeah.
Get your self-care going. Now that's going. It's a routine. I get up, I put on the kettle, I have that 2 minutes or whatever it is to take a few deep breaths, make sure that my breakfast that I have what I need for my breakfast, and get the bits going. Now that that's going, okay, what do I need to do for work? Okay, get that plate spinning. What do you need to do for home? Okay. So it's not like I'm trying to start up all these plates at one time. It's like, get this one going real good. Okay, now.
Yeah, because I have actually I read a lot of things. I can never remember where I've read them, but I have read in a book that people think that women can multitask really, really, really well. We don't actually multitask, we micro-task. So we do one thing really well, and then we do another thing, and then we do another thing, and then we go back to the other thing. So we're constantly chopping and changing. That's why we're so exhausted. So we're not actually doing two things at once, we're doing one thing, zoning in on that, then switching. So what you're saying about get the one plate going really, really well, and then start up your other plates, it fits in with that, doesn't it?
Because like you said, we don't actually multitask, but it's chop, 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 chop. So yeah, if you can help remind yourself, and I love that idea of two hands on doing something, because that's engaging parts of your brain. You have two hands on, and that's what I'm doing right now. And when you are doing the washing up, when you are loading the dishwasher, unloading the dishwasher, getting the, doing the gardening, your mind can kind of do something else, be working on something else while you're doing this physical task. And yeah, keep staying really present in the one thing you're doing. Get it done. And now it's done. Now I can focus on something else.
That's exactly right. It's last week, my friend, the one who told me about the two hands thing, I messaged her and I said, I don't know how to make fajitas. I said, I'm so tired right now. I can't. I was in the kitchen. I was just stood there and I knew we were going to make fajitas. And I said, I just can't even fathom out how to cut the vegetables, get them in the pan. I said, it's so simple, but I can't do it. And I said, I got like my son nagging me for a takeaway. I said, we're not having a takeaway because I need vegetables. Like that was the boundary I put in place. I was like, no, we need vegetables. We're not doing this. I'm making this food. And she said to me again, she went, remember, everything with two hands. She said, slow down. Don't worry about the frying pan. Worry about chopping the vegetables. Do it slowly, do it with two hands, then worry about the frying pan, then worry about the chicken, then, all those different things. So and then before I knew it, because we were sending voice messages, so I was trying to do two things at once there. And before I knew it, I said, "Oh, made them, did it!" Like, you know. And I think sometimes things seem so massive, don't they? Like we could have this massive deadline that we're heading towards, or a massive meeting that's coming up, and it seems huge. But when we actually break it down into tiny, tiny little chunks, it's one of my favourite things to do. I write to-do lists, and I always cheat because I always like to include one thing that I've already done on my to-do list. That's my top tip. When you write a to-do list, write at least one thing you've already done so that you can cross it straight off and you're like, oh, I've accomplished one thing already. This is going to be easy.
Look at me go.
And as part of my work, I help women to meet deadlines because that's what I do. I take things off their hands. They delegate their work to me and I do their writing for them, and I make sure their deadlines are met for them. But I know you help women to break things down into smaller chunks and do that self-care.
Yeah, so working with essential oils, that's specific essential oils that I work with, to just add a few things into your daily routine to help you boost your energy during the day, to help you reduce inflammation, to help you get that better sleep at night. So maybe you don't actually need that extra hour or two lie in, but that you are getting good quality sleep every night just by diffusing a few oils, applying a few things before you go to bed. Because once you have really good sleep, that you are asleep and not up and down all night or not tossing and turning or whatever, that the next day is much easier. You can plan better. You can break things down much better. You can come up with your big ideas, and remember how to make fajitas easier if you've had plenty of sleep and you've had good quality sleep. And then if you do get that afternoon slump, there's a couple oils that you can add in to help boost up that energy. So I have the diffuser going today with some peppermint and wild orange. So it's uplifting and refreshing for the whole environment, and also focusing. And wild orange is the oil of abundance. So it's great when you're working because you're thinking.
Oh, that's good. That's what I was talking to my friend about this morning, abundance, like feeling like when you feel in abundance, we were talking about this in detail, we were saying when you feel like you're in a state of abundance and you feel like life is giving you good things, you feel you can give more to other people because you don't feel like you're running on empty, because you feel like there's so much coming in. And I've recently been doing a gratitude challenge, which has just been amazing. It has changed my way of thinking, it's changed my mindset, and it's really like solidified for me and made everything like so much better. Like everything just feels so much better. I feel so much more energetic. I've got so much more I'm more vibrant in life just because I'm so grateful for everything I've got, and I feel like there's not a lack. I feel like I've got enough. I feel like I've got everything I need already, and anything else I get is a bonus. And so that's made me feel in a better state of giving to other people. I feel like I want to give more to others because I don't feel like it's taken from me,
And you're in that state of flow. And so then you see, oh gosh, this work is coming in so easily, even though you've been working really hard marketing and getting clients. And then you're like, oh, I'm so grateful for all my clients and grateful for all the things that I'm able to do. And then before you know it, they've referred 5 people to you. And before you know it, you have found, 5-year-old on the ground. You have found, you're in the flow and you're tuned into that gratitude and every single thing. I love the vegetables in my fajitas. I'm so grateful for my frying pan that I can't just chop this up and throw it in the frying pan and then it's done before you even know it. But I have these wonderful spices that I can create such a delicious meal for my family and not do a takeaway or whatever. Sometimes I do like to do a takeaway because that's when my kid will eat vegetables if we do a Chinese.
When they're deep fried or come from a Chinese.
I was like, at least there's some vegetables in there.
The gratitude challenge is brilliant, and that's exactly the sort of thing it does. Like what you've just described there is one of the challenges. It talks about magical cues. So the book is called The Magic. Have you read it?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So if anyone hasn't read it, you need to read it. It's so good. So it's called The Magic, and what you were describing there, Keri, is magical cues. So everything throughout the day is something that can remind you of something to be grateful for. Like yesterday, I went to my parents for dinner for Mother's Day, and my dad, he had a pile of things piled up in the sink, and he ran the tap and the water shot everywhere, like it does. And he's like, oh no, panicking. And so I got the towel and I said, it's okay. I said, because that reminds us we've got enough water. So like, we're so lucky. It's just little things. And I know it might sound a bit contrived, but it actually really, really helps with your mood. And it's actually become my favorite self-care practice. Actually my favorite now, because I've always said, go for a walk, meditation, make sure you go to get an early night, get enough sleep. But this one little thing that I do every day now without fail, I'm nearly at the end of the gratitude challenge, nearly at the end of the 28 days, and I've done it every day without fail. I try and list 10 things that I'm grateful for, and I try and list the best thing of my day. I don't always manage to write them down because I haven't put that pressure on myself, because in the book it does say to write everything down. But I haven't put that pressure on myself just because I know me, and I know that if I decided I was going to write it down and then I didn't, I would feel like I failed, and I didn't want to feel the failure. And I decided from reading the book, what I took from it was the biggest thing was to actually feel the gratitude deeply. So I've done that mentally and sometimes orally, and then on occasion I've written it down. So maybe every third day, I'd say Friday, Saturday, I'd gone about a week without writing it down, and I felt the momentum slowing. I felt I was getting a bit of a funk, like a bit of a, dip. So I wrote it down Saturday morning, and now I feel great again. So I think that's become my favorite self-care practice. What about you? Have you got any top self-care practices?
Yeah, so that awareness is so key. And sometimes it can be hard to get started on doing a gratitude challenge or doing something like that. But once you do, think of 3 things. There are 3 things that you can find today, even if they seem really, really small or simple. And before you know it, it turns into 10, that turns into 20, that turns into, and then even if you're repeating some of them, it's that practice. So that self-care is practice, that you do your morning routine every morning, that you get out your essential oils every day, that you take your vitamins, that you plan good meals and snacks for yourself, that you're fueling your body every day, and that you are taking care of yourself every day. And, if you can go to the spa or go to the sea or go to wherever that's like feels a little more luxurious or more time consuming, that's wonderful too, to feed your soul and to give back. But doing those things each and every day, whether it's first thing in the morning, reflecting at the end of the day, that you are grateful for, the different things that you're grateful for, and that's a super part of your self-care, that you're grateful for what you accomplished today. You're grateful for what your body has been able to accomplish today, that you had wonderful food to fuel your body, and, different things like that you can do. Taking a walk in nature, having a stretch. These are all things you don't need anything special for. You put on your shoes and you walk out the front door.
Yeah, and something I was thinking of then when you were talking is your non-negotiables. I think you've got to have things that are non-negotiable to you, and I think women especially, all people, but women especially, are very guilty of giving away our time and giving away of ourselves, and not putting those non-negotiables in place and not putting those boundaries in place, because it's so easy to let that self-care slide, isn't it? It's so easy to think, right, I'm rushing around, I haven't got time to get my essential oils together, I haven't got time to make my gratitude list or go for a walk today. And then it slides one day, and then it'll slide the next day, and then it'll slide the next day. And I think for me, something I've learned over the last couple of years, really, maybe since becoming a mum, is about having those boundaries in place. Because I think if I don't take care of myself, I'm not at my best for my son. And sometimes I've just got to say no. And it is something I'm working on. I'm not very good at saying no. I'm pretty hopeless at it, actually. My mum's always said to me, my mum's always said to me, she said to me when I started this business, she said, you be careful now that you don't sign up for too many things. She said, you've always done it. She said, when you were 16, you applied for 7 jobs, you had 7 interviews, and then you had 7 job offers. And you didn't know which one to take. When I started teaching, I applied for every job. I applied for like 50 jobs. Then before I was being called for all these interviews, I was like, I don't know what to do. And I sign up for too much because I'm eager and I'm keen. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's great. Let's do it. And then before I know it, I've got like 20 obligations that I'm like, I really wish I hadn't done that. So I think for all people, but women especially, is putting that boundary in place. And like, how do we do that, when we're pulled in all different directions?
Yeah, no is a complete sentence.
Yes. Yes.
And setting your boundaries doesn't mean, or setting your non-negotiables doesn't mean that you're rigid. It doesn't mean that you're not flexible. It means every day I'm going to do these 3 things, or I don't work after 7 o'clock, or, I put my phone away between 5 and 6 for dinner time, or whatever it is that you need. And that doesn't mean that, if something happens and you need to do something at that time, or you do need to check your, whatever it is, that you're not rigid about that. Or if a client calls and you do have the time, or you did some, that you can make it work. But to have, like you said, those boundaries, that outline, that's your best self-care. I became a massage therapist about 25 years ago now. And you're so eager and so keen to like, yes. And before you know it, you're booking a client at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at 6 o'clock in the evening, and on Saturday, and on Sunday. And then before you know it, it's like, there's no day that I'm not, you have to have days off to do the laundry and to, get your sheets washed and back into the office. So then I was like, okay, so you just set up a framework of, these are the days that I'm, that I'm willing to work. And then when I had my child and I was like, oh, my partner's home, I can go on a Sunday. None of my clients wanted to see me. I was like, but I could just come. And they're like, no, you don't work on Sunday. I'm like, oh, that's right. They're like, Tuesday at 10. I'm like, that's great. So they already had my boundaries already fixed into their schedule as well. So it made it quite easy.
That's really good, because I think for a lot of us who are running businesses or starting businesses, I wasn't prepared for the pull for working constantly, because I got into this to stop working constantly.
Yes.
I am a teacher on 2 days a week, and then I've set up my copywriting business on my other days. And I wanted to do that so that I could work during the time that my son is in school, not so that I'd be working evenings and weekends. And because when you're just starting out, you're keen and you're eager to please everybody, you do end up doing things that you haven't signed up for. And I think that over the last few months has been a bit of a learning curve for me, where I've had to scale back and say, okay, so I worked the weekend, so now I'm taking Monday and Tuesday off,
Yep.
And if the client wants to, because I'm very good at meeting deadlines, and I will go with what the client wants. And if the client wants the work done by Monday, that's fine. But then I've got to carve out some other time in my schedule for me and for my family, because of what I don't want, and what I think a lot of people in small businesses start doing, is they work every single hour under the sun. Like a couple of weeks ago, I had a particular client who needed an evening phone call. So that was fine. I was happy to do that. But then I needed to make sure I took back that time another evening, so that I was there at bedtime, so it is about balance, I guess, isn't it? Like you say, you've got to be flexible, because you know, sometimes the client and the nature of the work demands that, but it's about balance, because you can't be everything to everyone and you're going to burn out. So you've got to make sure that you've got those boundaries in place of, right, okay, well, if I've worked X amount of hours, this is the time now that I'm taking off, so that you don't frazzle and burn out, you know?
And especially when you love your work, you're like, oh, of course I'm going to talk to you. Of course I'm going to post those oils out to you. Of course I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that massage client, of course, because I love it. I love it. And then you realize I've done too much and I have nothing more to give. So prepare yourself ahead of time. Do that self-care ahead of time. Have your framework, your boundaries, your schedule ahead of time. Okay, I'm going to take that client later. I'm going to start later.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Or no, I can't see you in the evening. Maybe there's a different copywriter. So yeah, so one of the wonderful things about you is taking some of those things. I'm good with the big ideas, but breaking it down into small pieces and actually hitting the deadline, you know, wouldn't be my forte, where that would be a great, you know, that's a great self-care thing that for you to take that off my plate, you know.
I mean, like delegating. Sometimes we just need to delegate, you know, like I started trying to get my head around the finance side of it the other week, and oh my goodness, no, just no, I can't. It's not for me. I'm going to have to delegate. I'm going to have to hand that over to a professional who can help me, and that's where my services come in for a lot of business owners, and especially solopreneurs, is if they need a website written or they need an email written, rather than feeling that overwhelm and, oh my goodness, I can't do it, I can take that for them. You know, I can do that. You delegate, you give it to somebody who's got that natural ability in that area. So for me, my natural ability is writing, talking too. I talk a lot, but writing, I'm very good at putting things into words on paper. And so it feels easy to me. It doesn't feel like work, it feels like play. And they say, if you find something you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life, don't they? So I love it. It feels fantastic. And it feels so good to help people, because they're so relieved. Once I've done it, they're so relieved, and they're like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I wanted. It's just like exactly how I wanted it to be. Thank you so much. And I feel so pleased and proud that I can help people to achieve that. And I think sometimes in business, you've just got to delegate, and in your home life as well. If you can afford a cleaner, get one. You know, like once I get to that stage, I can afford a cleaner. They're coming. Come on in, and a professional declutterer. Come on in. Come and sort me out. Like, I'm messy. Like, I'm really messy. I need help.
So where can we find you? Where can we find out more about you or our copywriting needs?
Thank you. So I am on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page as Voice Copywriting. Very soon I will be setting up a group for copywriting tips and tricks to help solopreneurs, because I think a lot of people would love to have copywriting services, but perhaps are not in a position where they can afford them right now. And like I say, I really just want to help people. And I think if I can give a few tips and tricks and we can discuss it in a group setting, people can help each other, then I think that'd be a fantastic thing to set up. But I haven't set it up yet. I will be setting it up soon. So take a look at my page. It's Voice Copyright at Voice Copywriting on Facebook. And I've got an Instagram page as well. And news of the group will be going on there very soon. Or you can just message me. I'm Rhian Ellis. You can message me. So my last question for you, Keri, was, what are your 5 top self-care tools? And maybe you can give us your top 5 products as well from your business.
Oh, yes. So the essential oils that I use is from a company called doTERRA. It comes in a few different ways. We have 15 ml bottles, 10 ml bottles. This is particularly out of our kids collection. So it's really handy to just clip on your bag and take with you. This one is called Thinker. There's too much sunlight there, but it has a roller top. And so it makes it really, really handy to use to just roll it on your wrists, put on the back of your neck, right? You can roll some into your hand there. And let's all just take a moment together and just breathe So my top tips are being prepared. So having your oils handy so you can pop them in the diffuser, so you can, even if you don't have that, I just did that in my hand right now, and you breathe it in, and within 20 to 30 seconds that is soaking into your system. Having eco-friendly products, so then you don't feel guilty when you run your dishwasher twice or your washing machine half full. It's okay. Doing your gratitude bits, going out in nature, having a chat with a good friend, delegating those bits and pieces. Something that I have also taken on recently, I became a Zumba instructor. So in addition to helping people feel good in their body with massage therapy, with applying quality essential oils and wellness products, that you can also come to a Zumba class and you can release that stress and tension and boogie all your stress away. So that is super fun. That's one of my self-care things that I use. Is like, I love going to classes, I love taking classes, I love seeing my students smiling. And then when my knees are sore, when my back is sore, that I can take out my oils and roll them on and do my own like self-massage things to restore my body and to feel my best. So that's my whole mission, is to help people feel better in their bodies.
Lovely. And where can we find you if we want to buy some oils?
Yes, so I'm at selfcare Keri, that's Keri, and my website is keridennywellness.ie. I will share a link here as well. And then I do a wellness consultation. So if you're interested in trying some oils, get in touch. We'll set up a time to do a chat like this and find out kind of what your top needs are, where you are. And then we can put together some oils or a kit for you that is going to address your top concerns right now.
Lovely. Well, it's been lovely talking to you today, Keri. And this will be shared on both of our pages and on our websites. My website is voicecopywriting.co.uk, and I'll be writing a blog post to follow as well, because I like
Excellent.
So it's been lovely talking to you today.
Thank you so much.
Bye.